Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're unpacking a truly fascinating story of immense digital fortune, bureaucratic brick walls, and the incredible lengths one man will go to recover what is legally his.
It's an amazing story. We received sources detailing the saga of James Howells, an early Bitcoin miner whose physical hard drive is right now buried under tons and tons of garbage in Newport, UK.
And it's not just any hard drive.
No, not at all. This deep dive focuses on a single misplaced hard drive containing 8,000 Bitcoin. When we prepared our sources, that haul was valued around $950 million. It sometimes even peaked near $995 million.
It was $1 billion, basically.
Basically. And it poses two huge questions. First, is recovery even physically possible after a decade underground? And second, why is the local council fighting him so hard on this?
Right. Our mission here is to distill the who, where, when, and exactly how much was lost. And then we'll get into the technicals of the recovery and, crucially, Howell's dramatic new strategy now that the legal doors have been slammed shut. Okay, let's unpack this.
You really have to start at the beginning, back in early 2009.
The genesis point. Bitcoin was barely a concept to anyone.
Exactly. And our sources confirm Howells was a true pioneer. I mean, he was one of the first 5 people on the entire planet to download the software and start mining.
On his own.
On his high-powered gaming laptop.
Yeah.
He would just run the mining program at night. He did this for about 10 weeks, and in that time, he accumulated the 8,000 Bitcoin we're talking about today.
And the reason he stopped is, well, it's just pure irony.
It really is. His partner complained about the laptop fan.
A noise?
The fan noise was keeping her up at night, so he just stopped. He turned it off.
He turned off a machine that would have made him one of the wealthiest people on Earth.
And that's the thing. Howells himself has said his biggest regret isn't even losing the hard drive.
It's stopping the mining.
It's stopping the mining. If he'd kept going like, say, Satoshi Nakamoto, he estimates he could have mined anywhere from 800,000 to a million BTC.
Which would be valued today at, what are we talking?
Approximately $75 billion.
Wow. Okay, so if that's the real tragedy, the $75 billion, does that make the billion-dollar hard drive feel almost like a secondary problem? I mean, is he chasing the wrong regret?
Well, you see, that provides the context for his drive, his obsession. But the $1 billion is tangible. It's a real, verifiable asset that's locked. The $75 billion it's a what if.
A ghost.
Exactly. So let's jump forward to August 2013. The keys for those 8,000 coins are stored in a single wallet.dat file on one physical hard drive.
And the loss itself was just a simple mistake.
Pure human error. He was an IT engineer clearing out old equipment. He had a stack of these similar-looking silver laptop hard drives, and he mistook the Bitcoin drive for an old empty one and just tossed it in a blank bin bag.
And that bag was collected the next morning.
Gone. Taken straight to the Newport landfill site. And you have to remember, even at that point, the coins were worth a lot of money.
Right. This wasn't like throwing away a lottery ticket before the draw. It already had value.
A huge value. About $700,000 to $800,000.
He didn't realize for weeks.
Nope. Not until October 2013. He saw a BBC News article about some guy in Oslo who bought a penthouse with his Bitcoin profits. And that's when the panic must have set in.
So he checks the public blockchain address.
And just watches the value explode. Our sources show how agonizing it was. He saw a jump from 700,000 to 1.2 million, then 3.8, then 6.4, all the way up to almost $10 million.
9.9 million?
In just a few weeks. That's when he stopped watching and finally went to the Newport City Council. Can you imagine that conversation? Hi, I think I have $10 million buried in your landfill.
I can just see the director's face. So that brings us to the big question. After all this time, is that data even recoverable?
That's the billion-dollar question, isn't it? The first piece of good news is the location. He hired the site's former director of operations, a guy named Gwyn Jones.
Smart move.
Very smart. Jones confirmed the drive is almost certainly in a specific area, Area 2, Cell 2. He also confirmed their procedure. The waste wasn't crushed or recycled.
It wasn't buried.
Exactly. They weighed it, took it to an open pit, and then layered it like a cake. Compacted it, and covered it with soil. So the chances of it being physically pulverized are pretty low.
But what about a decade of moisture, pressure, corrosion?
Oh, absolutely. The exterior of the drive will be a rusted mess. You're not just going to plug this thing in.
Right.
But the critical part, the internal platter, where the data is stored magnetically, that's protected. It's in a sealed unit, surrounded by the casing, surrounded by compacted material.
And the team he's put together is no joke.
Not at all.
Yeah.
We're talking about engineers who worked on data recovery for NASA after the Space Shuttle Columbia disaster.
Wait, really? The Columbia disaster?
Yes. So if you can pull data from components that survived atmospheric reentry. A landfill seems
Yeah.
manageable.
That puts it in perspective.
And they are highly confident. Their internal assessment gives them an 80% to 90% chance of success.
80 to 90 after a decade. How is that even possible?
It's because of how little data they actually need. They don't need to recover a whole operating system or folders of photos. They need one tiny string of data.
The private key.
The single 51-character private key. It's like finding a single pinprick of information on an entire disk. As long as that tiny section is physically intact, they believe they can get it.
So the volume of trash doesn't matter as much as the drive's condition right where that key is stored.
Precisely. And they even have a backup plan. If the platter is damaged and they can only get, say, half the key,
They can brute force the rest.
they can use high-speed computation to brute force the remaining characters. It dramatically increases the odds of success. They just need to be able to dig it up.
Which brings us to the most frustrating part of this whole story. He has the plan, the team, the funding, but the Newport City Council just says no.
And they have said no firmly for a decade. Their refusal has been absolute.
He tried to offer them money, right? A lot of money.
He did. He initially proposed giving 10% of the recovered coins to the city. That's about $95 million today. The council's response, they called it an attempted bribe.
A bribe, not a reward for cooperation or a finder's fee, a bribe.
An attempted bribe,
Ah.
confusing stance to say the least. So when that failed, he massively upped the offer. He made an official offer to buy the entire landfill.
It's a whole thing.
The whole site, a cash plus cost savings package worth around 25 million pounds. He was offering to take their problem off their hands, assume all the liability, and they completely ignored it.
It just makes no sense. Why turn down a 9-figure cash injection for the city?
Well, when negotiations went nowhere, he sued them in the high court for access to his property. The claim was for $495 million, which was the value at the time.
And this is where the legal battle gets really interesting.
It really does. The council's entire defense rests on a piece of legislation from 1973, the Pollution Act.
So pre-internet, pre-digital assets.
Decades before. They argue the act states that anything thrown into a landfill becomes the property of the operator. But Howells' point was that this was an accident. It wasn't a voluntary surrender of property.
But the court sided with the council.
They did. They upheld the council's right to refuse access based on land ownership. And this created this perfect, maddening legal limbo.
So the court actually confirmed he still legally owns the digital asset.
Yes, the 8,000 BTC address is verifiably his. Everyone agrees on that.
But the local council owns the physical dirt that the key is buried under, so they control access.
Exactly. It raised this monumental question. What do you do when you own $1 billion asset, but the key is trapped under land owned by an uncooperative government?
You pivot.
The ultimate pivot, the redemption arc. After being, in his words, completely and irrevocably blocked, he shifted his whole strategy from physical recovery to digital redemption.
He decided to bypass the gatekeepers entirely.
He's leveraging the one thing they can't control, the public visibility of the locked funds on the blockchain. He's launching a new Layer 2 DeFi token.
A new digital asset built on top of the Bitcoin network.
Correct. It's called Kinnog coin, which is based on an ancient Welsh currency name, Kio coin.
And the numbers here are really clever.
They're key to the whole concept. The total supply of Kinnog coin will be 800 billion, and that number isn't random.
It matches the 800 billion Satoshis in his wallet.
It mirrors the exact number of Satoshis, the smallest unit of Bitcoin, that are locked in his 8,000 BTC address. So the new token represents the locked value.
The Newport landfill essentially becomes Fort Knox.
That's the idea. It's a Fort Knox vault that backs this new DeFi protocol. The reserve is transparent, verifiable on the blockchain, but completely and permanently inaccessible.
This is where the story gets really insightful, Fire. They block the physical gates, but they cannot block the blockchain. He's taking the digital property the court confirmed he owns and building a whole new ecosystem on top of it.
And this whole narrative, the loss, the legal fight, this incredible pivot, it's being documented. We should note that this story, including the specific details we've discussed, was laid out brilliantly in the Bytwork.com article by Maxim Anisimov.
So after a decade of trying to convince them to let him dig, he's now using the fact that the hard drive is untouchable as the core feature of a new currency. Well, it's a staggering strategic move.
So what's the takeaway here for you, the listener? Well, first, it highlights the absolute non-negotiable importance of private key management. A single 51-character string is all that separates nearly $1 billion from being usable.
But it also shows this wild intersection of digital assets and old-world bureaucracy. The legal framework, leaning on a law from 1973, just can't cope with digital property rights.
Right. His fight shows that even when a digital asset is confirmed to be yours, an ancient physical property law can still block you from ever accessing it.
And with the value likely to hit $1 billion soon, that question for the council isn't going away. How long can you ethically leave that much wealth buried while turning down offers that could fund city services for years?
And here's a final provocative thought for you to chew on.
I'm ready.
If Coin launches successfully, and that landfill remains untouched, the Newport City Council will have inadvertently created the world's most secure, multi-billion-dollar crypto vault, perpetually backing Howells' new network.
Their refusal becomes the ultimate security feature. Unbelievable.
If you found this deep dive valuable, we really encourage you to subscribe to the channel, give us a like, and tell us in the comments what you think about those legal rulings. Should a 1973 Pollution Act prevent someone from recovering their own property? We really want to hear your thoughts on this unprecedented situation.